is a united effort for coordinated control. Peace is the will of the people and the will of the land. With peace, we can move ahead together.
There have been many of our people across the country from all walks of life who have taken it upon themselves to try and pool their ideas and to come up with some kind of solution to the problem that confronts all of our people.
Well, when you paint, you need to have a place to hang it. We started with the anti-poverty program. These were the years of power to the people. Malcolm X speaks. Street corner rallies, camping out over here where we have the state office building now. But there was a lot of everybody feeling very empowered. I mean, I wasn't out there to start a museum, you know. Things would happen and I would say, yes, that makes sense, let's do it. I used to do chicken and chili on my roof on Saturdays about once or twice a month. And Frank, one of those Sunday afternoons, we started talking about, you know, what a shame it was that there wasn't something in the Harlem community that was of quality in terms of the arts that the youngsters could see. They had to go all the way downtown to see anything. At that time, most exhibitions of the work that was being done in Harlem was hanging on fences or in furniture stores or in mobile units in the rain or whatever. Well, Norman was present on my rooftop for the chicken and chili when the conversation came up. And Norman was always a devil's advocate. Are you out of your mind? There's nobody putting money into a museum in Harlem. So, of course, as usual, I ignored Norman's naysaying and moved forward. But Romy, as I mentioned earlier, said, they're just using you. This is a political thing. They want to get all of these people to know who they are by, you know, with the petitions and all of this stuff. And again, I felt that I would go with my gut and hang in with it, you know. And even though I was often surprised by the kinds of things that some of the other members envisioned, or lack of vision. So. But it's just a matter of pushing forward and knowing it was something that was needed. And once this facility was here, then something really came out of the anti-poverty program. In 1963, I was asked by Julian Ewell to write a program for Dr. Kenneth Clark and Cyril Tyson, who were writing proposals for federal government for the definitive anti-poverty program. And I wrote the graphics and plastics part of it, and I became a part of the anti-poverty program, working with very talented young people that came to us through interview process. I mean, we selected these kids from all over the city who were like the most talented youngsters who came to us, out of many hundreds. And so it was very exciting to be working with these really talented young people, and I was anxious to get them in to see what was happening in the city in terms of the arts overall. And I had been very active with the Museum of Modern Art. I had some friends, the Museum of Modern Art, that I used to hang out with. And they introduced me to Liz Shaw, who was public relations, because I would send the kids down and they would get turned away by the guards. And so I had to do a little intervention, and we got them free passes to the Museum of Modern Art, and they weren't questioned. And as a result of that, Liz Shaw sent a couple of junior council members up to see what the kids were doing, and they were so impressed with what was happening with the youngsters that we started a Saturday introduction to the museum collection with Frank Donnelly, Lynn Hoffa, and Campbell Wiley. Those were the three key instrumental people who started the whole process. The idea of maybe starting a museum in Harlem was initiated by Frank Donnelly because he was friendly with all these junior council members who all were very, very rich. You know, it was Carter Burden and Amanda. They were on the front page of Times as the richest couple in the world. And Jeff Byers, whose parents owned the Circle Line or one of those lines, and other things. The others I don't know what all they were into, but I know they were all into money. Frank went back to Carter and convinced him that yes, they should invest in a museum in Harlem. And at the time, I was very politically ignorant because I got really excited about it, and I was talking to Romy Bearden, and he was saying, the only reason they want to do that is because elections are coming up, and the Carter's working with the Kennedys, and and I was saying, I don't care about all of that, I just want a place to show. So, I mean, I just ignored all of the periphery and just sort of stayed on target with the idea that there's a possibility that we could actually create a museum in Harlem. But one of the things that we had to do is that we had to get the teenagers to petition. They had to have X number of names, and this is where the political stuff starts to come in. Got the teenagers, we got together with Evelyn Cunningham, who knew everybody, all the social groups, and all of the muckety-mucks and politicians. And we went around to their meetings, their monthly meetings, and we talked to them about the need for a museum in Harlem, and everybody signed. So I don't remember how many names they wanted, but within less than 6 months, we had the petitions signed. And Carter Burden, I think, put up the first monies, and his cousin Jeff Byers. Carter was working with Robert Kennedy at the time, and they set up an exhibition in his office to show some of the work that some of the artists in the community were doing, and it was beginning to get a buzz going. It began to become a little more in tune with what the intent was. We pushed for the idea of the studio museum because there were a lot of artists who were working who had no space to work in. We were very concerned that the artists be involved. And early on, a lot of the shows were created in collaboration with the artists, and the artists would come in and help put the shows up because there was really not a lot of money to do the shows. And so the more involved the community artists became, the more really in tune with the community the museum became. There were no Afro-American museums in the United States when the Studio Museum was initiated. Today, I don't think that you can go to a major city and not find one. So it was a heads up, hey, wait, we could get some money it's possible to create a facility that would give us a venue for the artists in the community. So from that standpoint, I think that, again, an instance of great stride. Eleanor Holmes Norton is busy in Washington as a delegate for the city. Barbara Jacobson, I think, is now a member of the board of the Museum of Modern Art. Frank Donnelly is no longer with us. He passed about 2 years ago. Carter Burden is, according to what I hear, is no longer with us. Jeff Byers is no longer with us. Campbell Wiley moved to Florida. So that's when you realize that life is very short. It doesn't take long before there's a whole new group of folk who don't even know what happened, or how it started, or where it all came from. So I don't think there's anybody on the board now that was on the board then. The importance of having the Studio Museum in Harlem has to do with the fact that it is an institution designed for the participation of the Afro-American community in New York, with Harlem being the epicenter of the Afro-American community. Therefore, it is imperative that it be in Harlem. Oh, in a space that I've never been in before, which is interesting, which means that it keeps expanding. And it's very exciting to know that the Studio Museum has become an institution that I don't think is going anywhere, which is very different than a lot of other organizations that were started in the 60s. So it feels good. It feels good to know that we're still here, and everything is being done very professionally. I'm pleased.